This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's VOCM Open Line host Paddy Daly.
Well, all right, and good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning into the program. It's Monday, January the 5th. This is Open Line. I'm your host, Paddy Daly. David Williams, he's produced the program. Let's get it going. Get the year off to a flying start. That can only happen if you join us live on the program to talk about whatever's on your mind. So, if you're in the St. John's metro region, the number to dial to get in the queue and on the air is 709-273-5211. Elsewhere, toll-free long distance, 1-888-590-VOCM, which is 8626. So I suppose it's not too late to wish you all a happy new year. Hopefully 2025 was a good year, and hope this year is even better, even though it's off to a pretty bizarre start on a variety of fronts. But let's get going. You heard Sarah Strickland in the VOCM newscast talk about the World Junior Hockey Championships. For the third straight year, Czechia knocks us out. We didn't play very well last night. It's as simple as that. A 6-4 loss. Even strength, absolutely brutal. Missed the penalty shot, and so we play for the bronze against the Finns this afternoon. I think it's 5:30, 6 o'clock Island time. Anyway, I want to tell you about a young athlete from Conception Bay South, Molly Gill. She plays a variety of sports, but she is really something else in the world of street hockey and ball hockey, of course, where we punch way above our weight. Just competed in the most recent Canadian Women's U20 with the Canadian Women's U20 team. They were all about dominating the tournament until they ran up against who? Czechia, and got knocked out. But she has been named the 2025 International Street Hockey Ball Hockey Female Player of the Year. Molly Gill from CBS. Congratulations to her. All right. So we can do a little year in review kind of stuff. And when I was away on that Monday, Tuesday prior to Christmas, Dave, I just haven't had a chance to speak with Dave here much this morning. Did Brian Callahan bring up what was the most used word on the show? Because when I came in to check my emails there last Friday, got a ton of emails saying what the most used word was on the show. I don't know if we could statistically back it up or not, but there was a lot of guesses anyway. That was a fun game. All right, in 2026, what does the year have in store? We know the schools in the metro region are closed, at least for now. An update coming sometime mid-morning here. But the K-12 system deserves a lot of conversation and consideration. I hear the Newfoundland Labrador Teachers Association reaching out on a variety of fronts, and it's the go-tos. It's violence and it's absenteeism, it's bad behavior, and it's about the social media use. Now, I was speaking quite a bit about the ban on social media use for Australian youth under the age of 16, which I think is a worthwhile conversation, even though I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. But here's an example of some of the behavior that's learned at home that manifests itself into some pretty awful behavior at school. So I ran into a fellow who I did not know. He recognized me, and he pulled me over and asked me if I had a moment to have a quick chat. He lives on the Northeast Avalon. He's got 3 children, all in school. One of his kids, his middle child, I believe, is in a school where there's a kid who's become an absolute nuisance, physically, emotionally, mentally, and he's really destabilizing his class and the entire school body. And talking about the way he uses social media. So he had screenshot a few things. And some of the stuff coming from this young fella, who's pretty young to be getting on the way he is, was vile. But then he talked about learned behavior. So he also showed me the social media accounts, a couple of them, of that kid's mom and dad. And man, oh man, the stuff they get on with. Obviously, it's going to seep into the hearts and the minds and poison this poor young fella, as now he's, mimicking their behavior. So everything from violent outbursts into the R word, which you know what I'm getting at. I'm not going to say it because I'm kind of sick of reading it, so I'm not going to say it. And the racism and the violence is just unbelievable. And so, we can talk about social media usage for our youth, but boy, oh boy, where do we start bringing in the parental responsibility into this conversation? I was heartbroken to hear that fella tell the story. His kid and all his classmates are terrified every day. So what do we do about it? Seriously, what do we do about it? So that's the violence issue. And as a result, to dovetail with absenteeism, many kids in that classroom are missing school, not because they're sick, not because they're out of town, because they simply don't want to go and fear that they're on the receiving end of this one young fella's outbursts. And apparently the school is doing nothing about it. So I'm really always up for talking K-12 in the education system, as you know, but let's get going. All right, something else we all share is a concern with the forecast for the price of groceries this year. We're told it's going to rise again some 4 to 6%. Starting on last Thursday, New Year's Day, there was a new grocery code of conduct rolled out, and it's operated and governed by the Office of the Grocery Sector Code of Conduct. So it's trade rule provisions for governance, adjudication, dispute resolution process. Okay, fine. So all the major grocers have signed on. They were kind of loath to get involved, but the 5 largest ones, Empire, Loblaw, Metro, Walmart, and Costco. So they've now formally registered. So this is really the politics of groceries. You know, we talk about the Competition Bureau and what that means insofar as the price of the products on the shelves. But this one here, someone sent it along to me. I just read the story last week, and I thought, okay, so how's this going to impact what I pay for my groceries? And there's sort of a mixed bag of opinions out there when I look around for people who are involved in the assessment. And it's not going to be the silver bullet. Other countries have indeed done the same thing. In the UK and Australia, they've rolled out this code of conduct. There has been a decrease in price, but it's hard to draw a straight line between how the operators, suppliers, and the retailers of grocery products, how that actually is going to impact our prices. So this feels like the politics of it all, as opposed to making some more meaningful strides to try to help control prices, even though, yes, nobody wants the government fully involved in things like the price of groceries. I get it. But the Competition Bureau has pointed out some very clear problems insofar as how the retail operations work in this country. The dominance, some 80% of grocery retail controlled by 5 companies. Of course that's going to lead to the prices that we're all suffering at the grocery store. Oh, and someone wanted me to bring up the whole Taco Bell business. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about it. I was walking into a house over the holidays, and on their TV screen was national news, and the story that was on when I walked in the door, the traffic jams because of Taco Bell. So I'm not sure what to say about it other than, I don't know what we're going to do. Mount Pearl rolled out some new traffic restrictions regarding access to that new fast food joint. And I'm sure people, it hasn't been here in a while, and it's probably relatively inexpensive. And I don't know, man, Taco Bell. There you go. All right, sticking with food. In this case, aquaculture and farmed fin fish. We followed along with the industry since it's come to our shores for quite a long time. And things in 2025 seemed a lot different. Now, if you listen to Maui, Canada's East Managing Director, talking about, here's a quote, "I've been in this industry 40 years, and 2025 has been my worst experience ever." That's a guy named Gideon Pringle. All right. So we talk about the die-offs. In August, the company reported some 400,000 salmon had died at 3 of their Maui sites here in this province. Then there was a bunch of different reports from Francois, the Friar Cove site, Little Burdock Cove site, increased water temperatures, sea lice breakout. When I read the story, there's so many contradictions in it, it's really strange. In the report from Maui on December the 20th, they said there was no single cause for the deaths and that it was likely due to residual effects from sea lice infestation experienced during the fall of 2025. They also go on to talk about water temperatures. But here's where the contradictions go. He says, "I've been in the industry 40 years and 2025 worst experience ever." Okay. Then he goes on to say, "It's all pretty normal." Then he blames the provincial regulations for reporting, calls it very inefficient. If at any time a unit reaches 10% mortality, the company must make a public report. I don't know how that complicates matters for them. So he said, this is all very normal, even though he says it's the worst year ever. My question would be, even if we want to include the implications of the proposed by Parks Canada National Marine Conservation Area on the southwest coast, which has many people in aquaculture, and the communities where aquaculture has been an economic savior, they're very concerned. I get it. What we don't hear from the companies is these die-offs, they must come with a pretty significant cost. So when we talk about the restrictions or the restrictive or prohibitive costs of doing the fin fish farming on land, where you have much better control of sea lice, have much better control of water temperature, what would the cost differential look like? Compare the losses that they suffered in 2025 and compare that to what it would cost to move their operations on shore. So yes, the economics for the companies, for the communities where aquaculture has come to town has been big. It's also come with a pretty significant trade-off insofar as environmental concerns. So maybe if Gideon Pringle would like to join us on the show to see whether or not Maui and other aquaculture companies have actually done that evaluation, the cost-benefit analysis of continuing on in the open bay, where there's no reason to believe water temperatures are going to come back to Earth, versus moving their operations on shore with all the controls associated with. Your thoughts? Okay, let's bounce around a little bit. This is a moving target, to say the very least. And I did a fair bit of speaking with people in the know, following along with Quebec media regarding the Upper Churchill MOU. Okay. I have to say I'm pretty confused at this point. So we were told during the campaign by now Premier Wakeham that there was going to be a pause button hit on negotiations, and we're going to have what they were calling a further independent review. At one point it was going to be some global organization with the horsepower and the experience in the industry and at that level of business to conduct it. Now that's turned into another 3-person politically appointed panel. Okay. Which includes, of course, Michael Wilson, who resigned from the first panel. Then we were told there's a referendum coming after they were given 4 months to complete the work. So we'll get a report sometime in April, which Premier Wakeham says will be publicly disclosed. All right. Now the referendum is going to be after we've reached definitive agreements. So where are we in negotiations? Because if they had virtually stopped, if we're going to vote or potentially have a referendum on definitive agreements, so real contracts, versus the MOU, what? So let's just pick both sides of it. So the panel comes back and says it's a bad idea. If that's the case, and that's their opinion, then how would enough people vote in favor for it to proceed? Let's just say a panel which includes Michael Wilson comes back and says it's a good deal. Then why would we take on the expense and the time and the education awareness campaign to vote yay or nay on something what the panel has said, which includes Mr. Wilson, will come back and say, maybe it is a good deal. So I'm pretty confused on the referendum business, but we can take on the Upper Churchill and Gull and all the moving parts associated with it because, as we all know, with the 50, 60-year implication, it's a huge big deal in this province. But I have to say, the referendum and the independent review, the tune has changed several times since the PCs were sworn into government, but that's where we are now. Referendum is not on the MOU. The referendum is on definitive agreements. So where are the negotiations? To that end, you know, the Premier talked about public disclosure. Like he did indeed, and good on him, publicly release an unredacted version of Mr. Wilson's resignation letter. I'm not so sure we learned a whole lot more than we'd already heard from Mr. Wilson, but good on Tony Wakeham for doing it. To that end, insofar as public understanding of 2041, the then Liberal government commissioned a panel to examine the implications of 2041, but to their own self-harm, they didn't release the findings. So, Premier Wakeham, I think that would be very helpful for the general public, including yours truly, that if that work was done and a report was submitted to Cabinet, why not release that? There can't be any IP concerns, can't be any commercial sensitivities. So let's just throw that out there so we can all have a better idea of what 2041 means. Because there's plenty of people in the camp that say, let's just wait till 2041. But let's understand what 2041 actually means to the province before we just have that conversation. Your thoughts? All right. Get a few more in here. So I see an update, or a lack thereof, from Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services regarding a conversation we had with the Dr. Neil Patterson on the province's west coast. He had signed a 2-year contract, which included upwards of $200,000 of incentives that he has not been paid. So I get when NL Health Services say they can comment on a personal contract of one individual, but that Dr. Patterson is not alone. And he says if he's not made whole, he's leaving after he satisfies his contract, which is to our collective detriment. So if we can't get an update on an individual case like Dr. Patterson, and we know he's not alone, because another doctor contacted me directly, Dr. Patterson said he's spoken with other doctors who are in similar circumstance. So can an update from NL Health Services say something along these lines? We understand their concerns. The work is underway. We will live up to our contractual obligations with these doctors and hopefully renew their contracts. Something to give us some sort of cold comfort that we're not going to, for our own misgivings, see doctors leave the province. We can't afford it. We can't necessarily afford all the incentives that were promised, but we certainly cannot afford the doctors leaving the province. Your thoughts? Plenty of complaints in my emails, of course, as I came in Friday and yesterday to clean them up. 2 of note. 1, people's power bills. And there's hundreds of emails about power bills, so you can talk about that. And also, several emails regarding 811. So many people rely on 811 for the obvious reasons here. and several people reporting the exact same experience, is with their reliance on it over the years, apparently the service has deteriorated insofar as wait times to get a return call. They were all reporting very similar numbers. You know, what was once maybe waiting a couple of hours for a return call, now it's extended to things like 12 hours. And people even thinking, I wonder did they misplace my call? Calling back in to try to say, you know, I've been, you know, years ago or a couple of years ago, I'd get a return call in a couple of hours. It's 8 hours later. Did you lose my call? So, oh, no, we'll get back to you ASAP. And that's turned in from 2 hours-ish to 12 hours. I don't know if that's a staffing issue over the holidays or whatever the case may be, but we'll chase it and try if we can't figure it out on your behalf. All right, couple last ones. So 2026 is going to be a messy year for a number of reasons. We're going to be seeing and having more conversations regarding the want for some people in Alberta and Quebec to have a referendum on separation. We had an inquiry led by Quebec Justice Marie Hogue about foreign interference into our elections. It was important. It kind of went by the wayside as soon as the final report was delivered, even though it's a huge conversation. I wonder how much foreign interference and chaos is coming as a result of other countries sticking their nose in to things like Alberta separation talks, specifically the Americans. You know, you just look at what's happening in the EU, and some of this is driven by artificial intelligence, but some of this is foreign countries simply sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong. Poland. There's reports of hundreds of artificial intelligence videos saying the same thing. Hey, what has the European Union done for us? Stoking the flames of separating from the EU inside that particular country. And it's not being driven by the polls. I think the same thing could be said for some of the separation movement in Alberta. Look, I personally think it's a bad idea, but I don't live in Alberta, so I have no say. But you have to wonder just how much of the rhetoric is coming from south of the border. I mean, we hear the Americans, the way they talk about Canada, 51st state and annexation and up and down the line. But yeah, and so I think that's a bigger deal than we're giving it credit for on that front. All right, so this has some potential ramifications for this country. I'll try to be as clear-eyed as I can on this one. Nicolas Maduro is a corrupt, evil, despotic dictator, former president of Venezuela. He has been captured or abducted or kidnapped by Delta Force, one of the key counterterrorism arms of the American military, over the weekend. All right, so he's going to face some charges in court in New York City, and that's going to take an extraordinarily long amount of time for it to be figured out. Now, whether or not it's an illegal act, I'll leave it up to people who know way more about it than I do. It seems to be. So here we are. Number one. Yes, there's plenty of people in Venezuela who are celebrating it because he has been very oppressive. He has starved and murdered his own people. He was a completely illegitimate president, which the world has spoken about for quite a long time. Yes, Joe Biden had a $25 million bounty on his head, but this is a different set of circumstances, isn't it? And now the president seems emboldened, threatening a bunch of countries on the heels of what was obviously a very successful military operation that they're cloaking under the guise of a police or a Department of Justice operation. You know another police operation the Americans got engaged in at one moment in history? Vietnam. Well, look how that turned out. What's next in Venezuela? And this does have implications for the entire world, including Canada. So apparently, the lady who actually won the election and won the Nobel Prize, Trump says the Venezuelan opposition leader doesn't have the respect to govern. So the Americans are, whatever this means, running Venezuela. What? All right, there's bound to be plenty of chaos here. And let's just get through some of this nonsense that people get on with. I mean, talk about bad faith in political conversations online. Is it about the Venezuelan people? Come on. Are we led to believe that the American administration cares about the people of Venezuela? No, they don't. Is it about drugs? Let's get it. These are numbers and countries been told to us, not by people making stuff up on the internet. This is directly from the DEA and the UNODC. DEA is the Drug Enforcement Administration of the United States. They talk about countries of the flow of illegal drugs into the United States by either production, transit, volume, or diverse sources. Number one, Mexico. Fentanyl, meth, heroin. Important to note, over 80% of the fentanyl that's smuggled into the United States on their southern border is smuggled in by Americans. Number 2 on that list, China, fentanyl precursors. Then it's Colombia. Then it's Peru. Then it's Bolivia. Then it's Afghanistan. Then it's India. Then it's Ecuador. Then it's Guatemala. Then it's the Dominican Republic. Nowhere is Venezuela. So it's not about the drugs. I don't think we can boil Venezuela down to just one statistic about their oil reserves, even though they have the largest proven oil reserves on the planet. But Venezuela's oil is the most technically challenging, capital-intensive, and institutionally demanding resources on the planet. No one's going to rush in and all of a sudden Venezuelan oil is going to flow overnight. Their infrastructure is absolutely decimated. So what does that mean for the flow of Canadian oil into the United States? And our primary market in America is the U.S. Midwest. It probably means very little in the short term, either for price or access to market. So what next? You hear American, whether or not we boil down international law to left wing or right wing is really a problem, because things will change in the future. Different parties and different people will be in positions of power. So you might applaud it today, but if the next president or prime minister does the exact same thing, but it's against your particular political leanings, then you'll hate it. So shouldn't we all collectively be questioning this stuff? So what does it mean for Canadian oil? The pipelines that flow from Canada flow in one direction, south. None of it flows north. It's not a two-way pipeline system. So whatever you think of Maduro, who is an evil, corrupt, despotic dictator, murderer, yes, belongs out. But is this how we're going to see it into the future? And the president has said it's not over. He specifically mentioned Colombia and other Latin American countries, of course has mentioned Greenland again, which he says they need for national security. And then, yes, Canada. I mean, if it's about critical minerals in oil and water, and he's talked openly about what his thoughts are, where Canada belongs in this world. So anyway, you want to take it on, we can do it. We're on Twitter. We're VOCM Open Line. Follow us there. Email address is openline@vocm.com. When we come back, let's have a great show. That means you're in the queue to talk about what? Whatever's on your mind. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's begin this morning on line number 1 to the top of the board. Good morning, Jenny. You're on the air.
Good morning, Patty, and Happy New Year to you and yours.
The same to you.
Thank you. I'm a senior, and I'm a limited income, and I qualified for the federal dental plan, and it's a blessing. It really is, because it's a preventative measure too. And I used to pay over $100 to get my teeth cleaned, and now it's $13, and so it's a wonderful blessing. However, I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version of my situation. While I was working, Patty, I had a really good benefit package in which I took advantage of, and I got a dental implant and some crowns done. However, when I retired, that went with, that was the end of the benefit package. And then I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I'm blessed because I don't have cancer, but the 30 radiation treatments caused havoc to my gums, teeth, and caused sensitivity to my ears. Like it really hurts a certain pitch sound. And anyway, so now, because of that, I've had to have teeth extracted, bone grafting, which I've had to pay for because, they don't cover things like that. And my son is going to help me to get a dental implant to secure the partial denture, and that cost $2,500. Anyway, all I'm asking the dental plan for is the equivalent of what any other senior would qualify for. I'm willing to pay whatever the extra cost would entail to attach that partial denture to the implant. And anyway, I went in on the Baccaloo bus because I live in Carbonear, and I went in to see in Conception Bay South, I think it is, to see our federal MHA, Paul Connors. so that he would talk to the people in Ottawa regarding this. Anyway, I waited for a while, a couple of weeks, and then I phoned in there, and I was told that no, they would not cover it because of the dental implant. You know, Patty, common sense should prevail, because the thing is, all I'm asking is what any other senior would qualify for. And, I feel like I'm being penalized for taking really good care of my dental health while working, and I'm penalized for getting cancer and getting all the damage resulting from the 30 radiation treatments. And I'm just interested in hearing from any other senior listeners to see if they've had what their experiences have been.
I get a mixed bag of opinions coming back about the National Dental Care Plan. The most common, I like to hear stories like yours fairly frequently, Jenny. And then, people felt misled. When we're told if you earn $90,000 of net family income or less, you qualify. There will be copays. If you earn $70,000 or less, there will be no copays. Turns out that's not necessarily true. People are showing up and being caught off guard, having to pay a bill on their way out when they thought, because they looked at the website and they saw what was covered, and that's exactly what they were going to the dentist for, to then be told, unbeknownst to them, they owed something. So the advice we've been giving people, and this comes right from the Dental Association, is make a call to the administrators at your dental clinic to know what you're getting yourself into before you go. So that much I'll throw out there. So what specifically are you in search of here, Jenny?
I'm only asking for the equivalent of what any other senior would qualify for the partial denture. My son is going to help me with the dental implant, and they won't cover that denture that's attached to the implant that I had got when I was working full-time and had a good benefit package. So in essence, Patty, I've got an implant in my top jaw, and I was considering getting one in the bottom jaw. And all I'm asking for, my son is going to pay all of, the $2,500 and whatever extra cost. But I don't think it's fair that he has to pay $5,000 for the upper and lower partial denture. When, I'm a senior, and that's all I'm asking for, is the equivalent of what any other senior would get with a denture.
Understood. And fair point. And remember, all the going back and forth between the government and taxpayers here is when we're talking about provincial program and getting dentures, you can get the bottoms one year, the tops the next, which is not necessarily how the mouth works. Jenny, I'll poke around and see what I can help figure out. And if anybody can give us some helpful advice for Jenny, if you get it to me, I'll make sure I get it to you.
Oh, I would really appreciate that so much, Patty. And I did leave a message on your answering machine. I got up early to make sure I got on open line to talk with you. So tell Dave just to ignore that. And, Patty, can I put a little plug in for the Baccaloo bus that I get? It's a godsend. I've had to pay, I'm still driving locally, but a lot of seniors have had to pay $300 to go into St. John's for a doctor's appointment, 150 in, 150 out, and now I can get the bus and I don't have to worry about what the weather is like, and he drops you off, picks you up at your home. You don't have to go anywhere to get the bus, and he drives you to your appointment and picks you up there, and it's a wonderful service, and I'd really like to, if it'd be okay with you, it's baccaloobus.com.
Sounds good.
And thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Oh, before I go, how's your little puppy?
He's doing great, thanks very much. With all the snow out there this morning, he's only a wee little fart, so he was right up over his head this morning, but he's doing great. Thanks for asking.
Oh, God, they're wonderful comfort. Anyway, thanks, Patty. Great talking with you.
My
Have
pleasure.
a wonderful day.
The same to you, Jenny. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. That was a little bit quick. I don't know if that was me or her. So, of course, I get plenty of pushback about anything I say about the American administration. I also think it's a little bit odd at this moment in time, given all the uncertainty about our relationship, trade and otherwise, that I don't know why we have politicians going out of their way to applaud it. What's going on? It all seems really quite strange to me. But anyway, you want to chime in on that or anything else, you can do it right after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the program. Let's go to line number 2. Good morning, Mike Williams. You're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy.
Good morning to you. Welcome to the show, Mikey.
Good morning to your listeners. I'd just like to come on, Paddy, to tell everybody that my brother's funeral is supposed to be at 11, but we changed it till 1 o'clock due to the weather, and we're cleaning the parking lot to make sure it's accessible for people that want to come say their final goodbyes. And I just want to make sure that everybody's safe shoveling their driveways. Be careful. Everybody driving today, be very, very careful. But why I come on, Paddy, my throat is a little hoarse. My brother left a legacy here in Newfoundland. And how I know that now, me and my brother, you know, some days were good, some days were bad. And we all know Harold got his own way. But I got thousands of messages on my phone from young men. They're saying that they've been dealing with addiction and struggling with their mental illness. And my brother was their go-to guy for bringing them to meetings, praying with them in the mornings, being there with them. And I went to the gathering place, and I brought $500 worth of pizzas and pop to go honor my brother and say, this is on behalf of my brother. And there was about 75 people there, Paddy. And I asked every one of them, if I pulled up in a yellow school bus and I could take you to treatment center for 6 months and go into an aftercare program, I said, how many people here would go? And every single person at the gathering place said they'd go right away. Paddy, the city is in a despair, and I know, you know, we all haven't got the right answers, but I had a lot of kids that I've met with guns, drugs, and there's girls at the gathering place that are being sexually assaulted and raped, and they got nowhere to go. We got a crisis here in Newfoundland. I have a lot of young men that I went to see in the last couple of days selling drugs in these crack houses with the children and the girls, handguns on them, 17, 18, 19 years old. It's a very dangerous city. I've never seen it like it before in my life. And if me and Harold and Tina Oliver and Renee Lear and Lisa Verdigan and Caitlin Shore-Gardner, we're out on the front lines. We're seeing this addiction. We're seeing these young men with guns. We're seeing the drug addiction. The politicians are in the office debating, coming up with solutions. I can get all these dealers, I can get all these mental kids with addiction, I can get 100 people together, I can get 200 people together right now, and they can tell the politicians what's needed. There's a mental health crisis here, and you think the murder rate is bad now. I'm home here 4 days going into these drug dens, going into these people that are addicted, crying to me, hugging onto my legs, smoking on crack, saying, I'm going to die. I need treatment. I can't get them into treatment, sir. And there's going to be more murders in the city. There's going to be death if the government don't make it a national crisis. My brother stood for something. He stood for honor. I'm not talking about his past. I'm talking about now. He died taking a heart attack cleaning out somebody's back garden. So if we honor and want to honor my brother, we got to call a national crisis and get Caitlin Shore-Gardner, Lisa Verdigan, Tina Oliver. We need these people to sit down with government and have a national meeting. These drug dealers, they're very dangerous. And it's not like when we were growing up, Paddy, on Buckmaster Circle dealing drugs, we sold a bit of weed. Today they're selling drugs that are killing our children. And these kids are telling me as I went in these drug dens, if the police comes in here, it's open fire. They're so addicted. But me, Tina Oliver, Lisa Verdigan, and Caitlin Shore-Gardner, we can walk in these dens because they know we're there for the help, the healing, the guide, and to nurture the spirit. And I just wanted to come on and tell you, thank you for accepting my brother Harold's phone calls. Thank you, Newfoundland, for honoring my brother. The politicians that are going to show up today, I'd like to thank them. And I just wanted to pray over Newfoundland that everybody will be safe, everybody will be healthy, holy, and instead of talking about each other, backstabbing each other, ridiculing each other. Let's pray for each other. Let's bless each other. And let's be there for each other. Thank you, Paddy Daly, and the open line listeners.
Mikey, listen, I've known you and Harold for a long time, and, people can talk about Harold's past, but in the recent past, he's been a pretty helpful figure to a lot of folks, and I know because they've told me as much. So I'm really sorry for your loss, so my condolences to you and your family. I appreciate your time. Get through today as best possible, Mike.
Thank you for your words, and thank you for everything on Open Line. I appreciate it, Daly. Have a good day.
You too,
Thanks, Paddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of back and forth about Harold Williams passing. He passed there a few days ago, and as Mike just said, he died from a heart attack. So, yes, people were pointing out that he had a tattered past, and it's true, but he was the first to admit it. It's the same thing with Mikey. They haven't never hid anything about their past. In fact, I think the fact that they're open about it and have so very clearly, certainly Harold very clearly had turned the corner and changed his attitude and changed his behavior and changed the way he acted. And I think he did a lot of good for a lot of people. At the end of the day, that's really what's going to be remembered by many about Harold. Yeah, we knew him back in high school, and he wasn't a good guy, and Harold will tell you as much. But my condolences to his family. And I don't think Mikey mentioned what church the funeral is going to be held in. It's at the Victoria Church Community, 10 Pearl Place. So if you're interested in going, that's where it's going to be. Let's get a break in. When we come back, Russell's there to the queue to talk about the PCs. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 4. Russell, you're on the air.
Yes, Paddy. How are you getting on today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Good. I was calling a very good friend of mine that I've known for a long time. She's a home care worker, right? Mm-hmm. And say she's working mostly out of Carbonear. One thing I was wondering, like she drives on the weekend. She's in St. John's, and for a long time, as I tracked her in the mornings, at certain spots she was losing the reception. Right. And the red thing would come up. Now all of a sudden, since Mr. Wakeham came in, to me he's doing great things. That's no longer happening. So they must have picked up more what do you call it? Cell service?
Yeah, it's transmission towers or boosters, yeah.
Oh, they've done that, have they?
No, there was a pilot last year in one region in particular. It's been expanded to 10. I'm not even exactly sure what the 10 regions are, but Tony Wakeham and other parties talked about it on the campaign trail about the need to improve cell service, whether it be for convenience, whether it be for public safety, whether it be to bring businesses in the communities. Like, if I was a business owner, I'm not going to set up shop somewhere where I don't have high-speed internet or cell service. So, yeah, the government has talked about it. I don't know where we are in the rollout, though.
Yeah. See, I got an engineering company, and I got ultra-high-speed bill line. I can get anything. I don't have to go to all these places where you go and rent videos and everything. I saw something on the news last week. All of those, like what do you call it, Blockbuster, and all these places where you go and get the CDs.
Yeah, they're a thing of the past.
They're a thing of the past.
Yep.
Right, because I can sit there in my TV. I got wireless internet right through the house, right? But what I was wondering, say in the last 2 weeks, as this girl that, like I said, is a really good friend, she's driving back and forth, and she's no longer losing service.
Yeah, so I don't know what changed in that particular region, but
Would Tony Wakeham be able to answer that for you?
Oh, I'm sure I can get an answer to that question. Yeah, no problem at all. And I wonder where we are in that rollout because, people point the finger at the government to take care of it when I think there's another finger be pointed directly at the telecom companies. I mean, I know their business model doesn't add up to as many transmission towers as we need and deserve here, given the fact that we're paying bills just like people are paying their bills in Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal. So, anyway, the service is spotty.
I'm wondering if, what do you call it,
Starlink.
Starlink, is that not the answer? Like, the government spend hundreds of millions of dollars to pay Eastlink to give them Starlink.
Yeah, in parts of the province where there's not an already established operation, Starlink has been the answer for many. There's no doubt about it. You know, when you have something that's already established, like Eastlink and then the big three, they're not going anywhere. But Starlink does seem like a potential for different parts. Because, I mean, just look at the money that the government spent last year and the year before to expand high-speed broadband. I mean, we're talking about huge money per household. And I'm not begrudging anybody access to it, but huge money when compared to and contrasted with Starlink costs. I think that's a conversation absolutely worth having, no doubt.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is, why is the government paying big business to put Starlink in for people when they could have go and say spend $150 and they got everything? Like I got I got here with Bill Lyons, the best service I've ever had, because I just upgraded my computer system to Windows 11. And I can go in and get, like, I'm there watching, I was called every old station that ever existed, anything that's on video and Crave and all these things, I can get everything. Like, and I got a cell phone that's top of the line right now, and it's 25 plus from Samsung, and both of them links and doing the same thing, because I need that stuff for my business, right?
Yeah. I don't even know why I have cable television anymore. Some of my buddies just rely on streaming services and nothing but, and they're really quite pleased, and they pay less than I do, so maybe I'm the dumb one. Yeah. Russell, anything else this morning while we have you?
No, just tell you, go and change your service and get this the top package with Bell Lyons. And if you got a cell phone, change your cell phone.
Yeah, I'm due for an upgrade, actually. My cell phone is really quite old, even though I don't really use it for much beyond the bare necessities. But anyway, Russell, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.
No problem. So if you can find that out and let us know, right?
We'll do what we can. No problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, let's keep rolling before we get to the news. Go to line number 1. Jacinta, you're on the air.
Hi, Patty. How are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
Good, thank you very much. Happy New Year to you and yours.
The same to you.
I'm calling about the Aging Well at Home grant. I'm not impressed with the new PC party government. We have a new majority PC government, and Tony Wakeham not addressing this matter. Seniors are being let down in Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's wrong. Many seniors rely on this Aging at Home grant, and for necessities, which they're putting it out there for, necessities of life, etc., small repairs to their home, medication, snow clearing, etc. And Tony has decided not to increase it from 400 to 800.
Well, the pledge he made on that front was inside the seniors' benefit itself, which is a different thing. The Aging Well at Home grant is on top of some of the other pots of money out there. So it remains at $400, but he did talk about increasing the seniors' benefit by... it was maybe the $400 number. I'm kind of conflating the two in my head here at the moment. But yeah, I mean, this has been extremely helpful. I know they increased the eligibility threshold a little bit to offer to more people. But so you're telling me that the Aging Well at Home grant is either not in play or still remains at only $400? Which one? It started today. You pass in your application today. Okay.
And... yeah, and it's only $400. But I mean, when it comes to election bait, Patty, that's what I call it. I call it election bait. The Liberals campaigned on to raise this to $800. So if the Liberal government that was in place could raise this to from 400 to 800 for seniors, I'm sure that why can't the PC majority government do it?
They can. They absolutely can.
That's my question to Premier Tony Wakeham today is, and I want to let him know that this seniors, our seniors of Newfoundland and Labrador have put this province in place.
You're right. And I mean, all of these eligibility thresholds have to be carefully evaluated, whether it be old age security or whether it be the aging well at home grant. You know, what was once $49,000 worth of purchasing power is no longer $49,000 worth of purchasing power. So I'll follow up and see if I can't get some updated information about exactly where we are on that aging well at home grant. And plus, I'm going to have to refresh my memory if there was a promise to double it, or was that all about the seniors benefit itself?
I'd like let me see where I start here with this too. Like, because like Patty, there's many. I see what you're saying when you throw out those numbers, but like leaving seniors struggling is with the cost of living and the continuing rise with the cost of living today. Like what's $400? And like I said, this money is not a luxury. It's an essential for survival and dignity. And I mean, I just want to make it, the seniors have contributed their entire life to Newfoundland and Labrador. And I just feel like Tony could take another look at this, reevaluate, come back and, see what he can do for seniors with the aging well at home grant.
I will follow up on this one because I know full well there's plenty of people listening to the program who are eligible for it and would have the same concerns. So, Jacinta, we will chase it on your behalf.
Yeah, Patty, that's another thing I want to address too, is that this came out last year, and I know numerous seniors that was entitled to it but never got it because of how they had the wording on the applications, etc. Because you mentioned that too. They opened it up, correct me there, they opened it up to different incomes. I think they changed the threshold for incomes there.
They did.
But there's a lot of seniors in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador didn't know nothing about this. And then when you pass in this application, Patty, to the government of Newfoundland and Labrador, their office, that they have taken care of the seniors well at home grant, the information, like, so what about if you're homeless and you're living in your car and you don't have an address?
You're right. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me just how many times we hear from people that say, oh, can you give me that number or give me that email address again? Because I didn't know that this was a program. So the government sometimes does a poor job of keeping people in the loop about what they might be eligible for, and they really should do a better job there. People should not be finding out about these things on this program. They should be finding out from the government.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you very much. And that's the main reason for my call. This is my second time I've ever called an open line in my life. And thank you for your service. And because we wouldn't be able to get this out there if it wasn't for VOCM open line.
We're happy to play our little role.
And there's much more I could talk to you about on this because, I mean, like I said, I'm really, excuse me, sorry about that.
No problem.
It's really confusing information, and I got so much more I want to talk about on this. But the main thing is to let seniors of Newfoundland and Labrador know that if they didn't receive this last year, it's due to a lack of government information and letting seniors know. And there's a lot of seniors that's displaced and living in their vehicles or homeless, etc. There's many scenarios. It frustrates me, right? And
me as well. Jacinta, I'm off to the news, but I appreciate making time for the show. Anything else quickly?
Yeah, I'd like for any senior that has not received this Aging at Well Home grant and didn't know about it to call your office. If it's their first time, not be afraid, and let's get this straightened out. Absolutely, 100%. All the calls are welcome. Thank you for your time this morning. And I'd like for PC, for Premier Tony Wakeham to address this matter, or someone in the PC team. Me too. I'm all about it. Good to talk to you this morning, Jacinta. Thank you for calling. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Before we get to the news, want to say happy birthday to a contributor to the program, Leo Kilty. Leo's 91 years old today, so happy birthday from all of us here at the show to you, Leo, and big thanks to Dan for sending along the info. Let's get a break for the news. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 1. Good morning, Mark. You're on the air.
Yes, you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. I got a child that's going to Memorial University in St. John's. If someone thinks that by going to MUN you're living like kings and queens, they're far from it. Because the food in the dining hall, I've heard a lot of complaints about that from other kids. If you're paying roughly $3,000 maybe a semester for the dining hall, I don't think you should be sitting down eating pogos for a meal. Okay, that's my opinion.
Fair enough. So I'm not too familiar with the dining or the food package. So when you say go in and eat pogos, is that because that was all that was on offer or someone chose to have them?
Well, see, that's the other thing. The menu, I'll say, is not the great. I mean, when you're sitting down, like I said, eating pogos, you're offered tofu, broccoli pizza. Like, I don't know, a lot of kids are probably not going to eat this, right? So I think the menu needs to be changed some, in my opinion, to more healthier meals, right? So the other thing, underground, where the tunnels are, I've witnessed myself, they leak. There's buckets in the hallway. The floor's wet. They got pipes and hoses strung out, trying to divert water from the floor, and that type of thing. Right? I mean, you won't be able to go to work like that. Why should the kids go to school like that? Right?
Yeah, we hear about the maintenance deficit all the time. Like when we have representatives of the Students' Union come on the show, they tell us the same stories year over year. And we know that the university is trying to find some $20 million in savings, but we also know at the exact same time there's hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure failures over there. So push is going to arrive at shove here if it already hasn't.
Well, the other thing in the tunnels, I've seen myself, there's signs posted about asbestos in the tunnels. I guess it's used for insulating the pipes or probably something like that. But, I mean, you or myself wouldn't be able to go to work if there was asbestos present, would we?
Nope. Absolutely not.
So why is it okay for the kids?
Yeah, I don't know what the asbestos exposure is at Memorial University. I'm sure there's plenty of it, whether it be in the tunnels or other parts of the campus.
Yeah, but shouldn't there be somebody in government going in there and doing a scatter routine inspection?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in one hand, Memorial University requires, and I think it's reasonable to require their autonomy. But at the exact same time, who's taking care of some of these regulatory issues and inspection issues? Is it left up to MUN themselves, or are they still part of the province and the provincial government does some of these types of inspections? I'm not even sure what the answer is, to be honest.
No, and we don't. I mean, we've made phone calls and we try to figure out who to call, and it seems like we don't get nowhere with it because, like most everything, nobody's going to want to take blame for nothing. The other thing, besides the infrastructure part, some of the classes, from what I've been hearing, the kids are having some issues. Now, if you're spending, well, I guess it's all according to what course you're taking, but for my own child, if you're spending $18,000 a year, shouldn't you get 100% good education, especially from MUN? Right?
Yeah, I guess the short answer is yes. So are you suggesting that on top of infrastructure shortcomings, the education is also not what it's cracked up to be?
No, I think the education is pretty good.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, we don't hear much complaints about that. But when you got professors that don't speak English, I do have a problem with that. If my child was spending $2,000 or $3,000 for a course, she should not have to pay $400 or $500 extra for a tutor because this professor can't speak any English hardly. So how do you address that without being racist? It's nothing to do with the race part. I mean, that's like if one of us went to Alberta and tried to teach in a class. I mean, we got a Newfoundland accent, and we can't really turn that off, right? It's part of us. But if you got a teacher or a professor in a class that don't speak English 100%, and what they do speak is hard to understand, my child had to spend extra few $100s last semester because they couldn't understand the teacher. And because of that, that was one of our lowest grades because of this teacher. So where do you go with that? I mean, why is she paying $2,000 or $3,000 for a course in class, which then she has to go out and find a tutor and pay them $30, $40, $50 a hour? I don't agree with that. To me, the university should be look for a different professor or reimburse some of the kids.
I really don't know what language barriers might be like in one course or another at mine. I have no earthly idea because I haven't sat in a classroom since the 80s. But yeah, nope. I mean, I think it's fair to say that if you're lecturing students at Memorial University, you should be able to communicate clearly with them. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say.
No, I mean, the kids are paying at your yin-yang, I'll say, for the courses that they got. I mean, it's not cheap to go to Memorial University. The last thing they need is more payments for tutors and that type of thing. But besides the tutors, there was an incident in there, from what I heard, and like I said, I got a good, reliable source. For some reason or another, I think the professor couldn't make it or something like that one day, and the kids had an exam. There was a teacher assistant came in with their child, a small child. Now, if you've got a classroom, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 kids, I don't know, wouldn't that be distracting to have a small child flicking lights on and off, bawling, screeching, crying? And plus, from what I heard, the kid was not feeling well. I think they were like sick or something, right? So the teacher assistant brought their kid into class. Now, for the rest of the kids that was in that class, how fair was that to them, writing an exam, to have that kind of a distraction? How was that allowed?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a question for administration. And again, some of these very specific circumstances that I don't know anything about, hard for me to speak to it. Language barriers, I said my piece on that, and I think it's not unfair to hope that your lecturer, your professor, is able to communicate clearly. The issue with bringing a small child in, what that child may or may not have been doing, I really don't know.
No, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. If my kid, like the rest of them, is paying $2,000 or $3,000 for a course, this is important to them. They're not in a university for shits and giggles, right? They're in here to get a better education, get a better job, and create a future for themselves. It's hard to do that when you got distractions in a class. I mean, maybe some kids, maybe they failed because of all the distractions. So we're supposed to take up the slack for that. You know who's taking up the slack? The poor kid that, you know, probably found it a little more distracting maybe than the rest of the kids. But I mean, it shouldn't be. I don't know why they let so much stuff off in Memorial University. There's a lot of stuff don't be talked about. But this is my first time calling you, and I'm just pissed because my child's here spending, like I said, like the rest of them, a lot of money to go to school. They should have a grade A education, less distractions, and try to, you know, I mean, look into the kids. But it don't seem like they're. Their top priority. It seems like the university is all for there for to charge stupid fees. Like, I mean, I looked into my child's. I don't know what it was, like a list of the charges for each semester. Like, I'm just shaking my head. Like I said, what is this? Why are you paying $175 for this? Why are you paying $200 for this? Like, it don't even apply to you.
You mean like things like the campus renewal fee, things like that?
Well, yes, that kind of stuff you can understand. But I'll just give you one example. Now, this is not a very large fee, but it's still a fee. Why are university kids paying a fee for refugee fund? Why are they paying a refugee fund?
I didn't know they were.
And from what I understand, well, my child is. And I've asked, like, what is this? Why are you paying for a refugee fund? Or something to do with immigration or something, but like mostly for foreign kids, I guess. Like, why are we paying for that? And there's a dental and health insurance. Well, so happen, us as a family, we have family insurance. So every time my child is charged for this, they got to go back and get reimbursed.
Yeah, you can opt out of that fee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people aren't obliged to pay that one.
No. But then you get your. I mean, like what I'm getting at is wherever the university can squeeze a dollar out of these kids, they're doing it. This is something I heard yesterday. Well, everybody knows school's back in now, probably today, for most everybody, today or tomorrow. My child contacted someone at MUN because with the snow coming and the bad weather, they were like, my child and another person there, they traveled out together, so they went back together. So they were wondering, could we come back a day early so that we can be in St. John's and start our classes Tuesday? So, okay. Some kids done the same thing because, I mean, not everybody lives in St. John's, right? And that's what they think. They think everybody's like 10 minutes away. No, I mean, you got kids from the West Coast, Central, Northern Peninsula, you got kids everywhere. So just tell me, if the weather is bad, I heard yesterday that some kids were charged $20 for coming back to school early to avoid the weather. Now, did that make any sense?
No, but insofar as when classes start, that's something that would be baked into collective bargaining. That wouldn't be something that they can willy-nilly say, well, we're going to start this day or that day. That's something that's negotiated.
Oh, yeah, but that's not where the problem is. The problem is, if the kids went in a day early for the sake of bad weather, the university, it charges them $20 because they came in early.
Yeah, I guess
okay, so
that's a staffing issue, I assume.
Well, possibly. But, I mean, if either the kids can go in a day early, or they're going to end up going in a day late, like just because of the weather, and they're going to miss classes. Okay, so if they miss the classes, are they going to be reimbursed? No. That's what I'm getting at. If there should be a little bit of leeway. I mean, but it seems like there's no leeway with Memorial University. I mean, everything's written concrete and stone for some reason. I don't know why. And like I said, they got to understand that kids are traveling across the Highland this time of year, and there's going to be weather, there's going to be problems on the road. If they got to come in a few days or a day or so early, so long as they got their rooms, let them come in. Don't charge them no more. But they're charged for everything. Like, I don't know what it was my child done there the other day. They got some kind of some paper. He had to go on enrollment letter. That's what it was.
Okay.
An enrollment letter is not much, right? It's not like you're putting a big parcel in the mail. You know, they're charged for that. To get a simple piece of paper emailed to them, and you're charged, I think it's $20. Now, that might be wrong, but I do know they're charged. Like, isn't that a bit ridiculous?
I think that's pretty standard stuff across the college university board for, requests of transcripts or enrollment letters for whatever purposes, whether it be for loan applications or proof of enrollment or those types of things, or to access your education savings funds and things like that. I think those administrative fees, I think if you looked at St. FX or at DAL or UBC or anything, those things are pretty standard. But to your point, that people are being squeezed at every turn at university for money is is 100% true. There's no doubt about it. No argument coming from me. Last thoughts to you before I go.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, to me, there should be a little bit of leeway with the university.
Yep.
You've got a lot of kids in your traveling this time of year. If they got to come in a day early, so be it. Second of all, stop gouging the kids, because that's what's happening. I mean, you're paying fees that nobody even knows what they're for. And, you know, to me, Memorial University needs to do a lot better for the amount of money they got coming in. Right? $18,000 for a year for one student. That's what my child's paying. Right?
Yeah, and tuition just about doubled when the cap went away, or the tuition freeze went away, and that was a self-inflicted wound. We should have never done it for all those years, because at the same time they kept the tuition where it was, but they increased the fees. So if I'm writing a check, I'm already worried about the number I have to put on the check. If I'm increasing tuition, I also get to increase my tax credit because of tuition. But student fees, they don't count, which is something that people just couldn't wrap their minds around, and here we are all these years later, tuition has doubled or more. Mark, I got to get going, but I appreciate your time and your concerns. Thanks for calling.
Yes, my son. Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Just very quickly, so I knew it was coming, but so be it. It's nature of the beast there. Is I get the same old emails about, why are we talking about what happens in the United States? How can we avoid it? I mean, just look what's going on. We've got an unsettled trade issue with the United States. They've talked about annexation of Canada. I mean, how do we avoid thinking and talking about that? Plus, even if it's as fundamental as things like they're going after Greenland, not because I say so, because they say so. You know what that is? That's a NATO ally. You know what that means? For only the second time in history, Article 5 may indeed be used, because the only time it's been used in history prior to this is the Americans invoked it. So it's sort of strange that people think it's some sort of problem to talk about what happens in the States. And very quickly, you know, the whole Russia, Venezuela, American triangle, I'm reminded of back in 2019 in the impeachment hearings in front of Congress, Fiona Hill, who was testifying for a few days. She is an American diplomat, and she said clearly that Russia wanted Ukraine in exchange for Venezuela. So things like this have been on the books in documented testimony in front of the American Congress back in the Ukraine-related impeachment hearings back in 2019. It's fascinating stuff. Let's get a break, and when we come back, plenty show left for you. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Back to the email inbox here for a second. And this most recent one, I could not agree more. The emailer was asking me the question as to why the House of Assembly is not open. That's a really good one. For my money, it really should have been reopened before Christmas. I mean, there was a lot of big things that were on the table for discussion, maybe to set the legislative agenda for the government. You're not going to be able to tackle everything in a late in the fall sitting, but that is a very good question. We were told that after the election, once all the MHAs were sworn in, the House would be reopened. And of course, there were some judicial challenges regarding recounts. One was actually accepted, and it turns out Paul Dinn did indeed hang on to his elected seat. So at that point, we were told they would reopen the House. So whether it be questions to be asked about the structure and the mandate, the terms of reference for the new 3-person independent panel would be regarding the Upper Churchill Memorandum of Understanding, or whatever else was on people's minds at the time. So for that emailer, who I've yet to reply to physically, that's a very good question. There are plenty of things that need to be attended to. And again, I get the pushback that, you know, we have to give government time, give the PCs time to get settled in. I don't dispute that, because campaigning is one thing, governing is quite another thing, but there's also a lot of issues that time is of the essence. You know, I don't expect every single member of the government to be 100% up to speed, especially the newly elected members, but we really don't have a whole lot of time to wait for things to be attended to. And on that front, I'll stick with the emails here for a second, I've been asked again about the status of 24/7 snow clearing. We do know that we were told by the government is that there was 14 routes selected. They say they had the heaviest traffic volume, number one. Number two, they also reported a fairly brisk uptake in the number of people applying for jobs. We know we needed 50 new operators, 25 full-time, 25 part-time. The report came back that way more than that had already applied and gone through the churn. So where we are on 24/7 snow clearing, it's a good question. I don't think it's kicked in at this moment in time, because there was also more equipment required for it to be 24/7. And even what 24/7 means is also a bit of a moving target. So for some, when you hear it, you think that if there's snow, like for instance today, that there'll be a constant 24/7 repeated snow clearing and ice management in the 14 selected routes. So as far as I can tell, that is not happening. And one of the real worries was whether or not they were going to be able to attract the number of operators, given the rate of pay at the province, versus even some of the municipalities right here on this part of the island. So, again, it'd be nice to get an update from the government on that front. So, you know, it's hard to get updated information when the house is not open. So to that one emailer, and I mean, of course, there's many people who have chimed in about that particular concern is, yeah, you know, for the updated bits of information, for questions to be posed by the general public, whether it be through this program or through their member's office, to hear them hit the floor of the House of Assembly would be helpful. And Happy New Year to Glenn, who just sent along this. So he looked up Memorial University's refugee fund. It's $2 per semester. No details on exactly how that money is spent, but at a couple of bucks a semester, that's the number associated with the caller's concerns. Mark was his name, talking about the different fees and the tuition and infrastructure shortcomings and some language barrier concerns at Memorial University. So it's $2 a semester. All right, let's check in on what's shaking on the Twitter box. Haven't focused much on that here today. We're VOCM up online. You know what to do. You can follow us there. And again, getting plenty of swats about why I mentioned what happens in the United States. I just don't know what to say to that. There's one of these commentators who I think is fair to say is on the right side of the political spectrum, and I mean right versus left. And I saw this one over the weekend. He says, if I were Canada, I'd be on my best behavior right about now. Oh, come on. I mean, these complicated worldview issues, some of these people are just not serious people. You know, and even some of the members of the administration talking about it like it's a game of chestnuts out in the parking lot at school. These are really serious, complicated matters. You know, you're not, they talk about it like it's a game when it's not a game. And insofar as Canada and Canada's relationship with the United States, I mean, haven't we proven to be pretty reliable, friendly allies, trade and otherwise? I mean, just ask the families of the 156 soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan when we came to the Americans' aid. How about when we smuggled their diplomats out of Iran? How about how the country reacted and this province reacted after 9/11? You know, I mean, some of these things, people just talk about it as if there's some sort of bully pulpit and everything's a game. It's not a game. These are serious matters requiring serious people. Let's see if we can get a break in. Today's a good day to get on the show, to get the year off to a flying start. If you're in and around town, it's 709-273-5211. Elsewhere, toll-free long distance, 1-888-590-VOCM, which is 8626. We're taking a break, and then we're coming back. Welcome back to the show. Let's go. Line number 1. Oh, before we get to the caller, just 1 second, caller. Greg has asked me to mention to the listeners that all the schools in the metro region are remaining closed for the rest of the day. So schools are closed. There you go. Caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy Daly, and a Happy New Year.
The very same to you.
Yep. What do you think of this, Pat? I went to the gas bar and needed assistance to get... And I'm handicapped. I'm disabled anyway. I got lots of injuries, like one would say. And I asked for an assistance, and I was told that maybe come back in about 3 hours' time.
Really? So just for my own understanding, what type of assistance did you need?
I needed assistance in pumping some gas off in my drum, 45-gallon drum. Okay. That I have difficulty getting up in the back of the truck. It was a pickup truck, and I have difficulty getting in and out, and don't want to fall because I got too many injuries now, like one would say.
I totally understand. Yeah, I mean, you know, even if the operations inside the station are, you know, interrupted while you get some help outside, it's still part of the customer service. You know, when we talk about the difficulties that people in the disabled community face, businesses need to understand it. It's some 30% of the population. Now, everyone's disability might be of different type and different severity, but it sounds pretty fundamental to me. If I want you as a repeat and faithful customer, if you need some help, I'm going to give you some help.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the owner did tell me that she had several workers inside packing away liquor, at her business and storing away, and they were busy packing up liquor or something and come back in 3 hours. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the liquor wasn't going anywhere.
No. No, it wouldn't go to spoil. The longer it is, the age, the better.
Yeah, I just don't understand some of these stories. It's just, it's almost saying the quiet part out loud. No, your concern, sir, is not as important as me putting away all of the vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah. Well, appreciate it. I thought I'd just let you know because some stations just don't have the courtesy for their customers, and it's ridiculous. I don't know where you go or what you could do about it, but I think the fingers needs to be tapped on that one.
Yeah, no argument here. Now, look, I could understand somewhat if I'm a one-person operation, I'm the only person operating the till, then maybe, just maybe, it's going to be difficult for me in these, for safety and for protecting the cash register, that if I cannot do it until someone comes in to back me up. But if the staff are inside doing whatever, loading up the chip rack or moving around the pop bottles or storing up the liquor, that's not good enough. That task can wait.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But she said she had 3 or 4 people there stacking away liquor, but come back in 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh, my. I appreciate you making time. I'm sorry to hear this.
That's okay. Thank you very much for allowing me on, and have a happy New Year.
Very same to you. All the best.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. And I guess it's just another issue that I think we can put on the pile insofar as, reopening the house. I know it takes time to establish the structure and the protocol and the terms of reference of things like the pledged and promised disabilities advocate and who that person might be, and all the consultation required for it. Now, when you talk to Nancy Reid and others at the coalitions of persons with disabilities, they're quite pleased with where they are, both in the pledge to have an advocate's office open and the process to see that come to fruition. But just those types of issues are important. I'll freely admit, it's not that long before I was doing a job like this, where obstacles facing people in the disabled community, unless you have it yourself, it's probably hard to recognize. We all live in a pretty small bubble world where, there's nothing wrong with looking out for number one, but the more that we hear from people who are disabled, the more we have conversations with people like Nancy Reid and people in the world of universal design. Now, and again, I freely admit, I was really poor at picking up on some of the obstacles, whether it be mobility or otherwise. But now that we have these conversations, hopefully that will mean that more people who are not part of the 33% of the disabled population are also seeing them, whether it be developers or business owners, like that gentleman described. You're going to have customers that need a little additional support. So to staff and design and to accommodate is not doing something untoward. It's actually dealing with customers where they are and what they need. So I'm recognizing more and more of the obstacles, and that's not because I've all of a sudden had some big revelations, is that people have been generous enough with their time to come on and describe what they see and what it means for their day-to-day lives. Let's get a break and right on time. Rob's there to talk about snow clearing, and then we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's go. Line number 2. Rob, you're on the air.
Top of the morning to you, Patty, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
And I have no use. You've said enough of that this morning. But I want to talk a little bit about snow clearing. And just about 3 little points. Okay, so I heard just before you guys went on break there, the counselor from Portugal Phillips says his trucks can't drop a blade on the road because it's a provincial road, and they can't do that. That they have to travel the provincial road, and they can't drop a blade. And I find that totally disgusting because it's absolute a safety reason for everybody, because there's a lot of traffic that comes up and down through there.
Yeah, I think some of that boils back down to collective bargaining. Because if a municipal plow is plowing a provincial road, then a provincial plow operator is not required to do the same job. So I think that's what it boils back to.
Yeah, but that's absolute BS because it's the safety of the people that are coming in and out of different communities and everything like that. And if they can drop a plow, they got to travel through the snow anyways. Drop a plow and clear the way the best as they can.
I know your point, but I think it does boil back down to the union contracts. Because just think about it in some of these environments. If I'm a plumber and I'm working at the Health Sciences Centre and the bulb burns out, I got to get an electrician to come in and change the bulb because that's person's job, not my job. So I think some of these things, I get your point. If the snow's on the ground and you have a plow on your vehicle, and I don't mean your pickup truck, on your snow plow, maybe drop the plow, get snow out of the way is probably a very good idea. But I'm pretty sure this all boils back down to negotiations and contracts.
Yeah, and that's a big problem here with union greed and stuff like that. It's I really not a big fan of union and stuff like that. But I'll leave that one at that because I understand what your point is out there and everybody else listening. So now when we come to the private areas, I'm out in CBS here, and I've got a big problem with people plowing, with their ATVs and stuff like that, clearing the driveways, and they push the snow across the roads, and all they do is leave windrows all the way across, making it more dangerous than just having flat snow. And I've got I live in a house where I've got a 72-year-old father-in-law and a 91-year-old father-in-law, both with medical problems, and I need to keep this place clean. So I always have my place snow plowed. I don't put snow out onto the road. But these, private citizens, and that's fine. They got to clear the snow, but don't clear it on the road. That's really bugs me big time.
There's a fella in my neighborhood who cannot resist shoveling his snow onto the road, no matter what, all the time, every snowfall. I just don't even understand it. So what's the difference in flicking the snow out versus flicking it left or right on the lawn? I don't know why he does it, but he just is relentless.
Yeah, but out here, the roads are narrow to begin with.
Yep.
And like I said, I do snow blowing. I don't have a plow. I snow blow, but I make sure there's nothing left on the roads when I'm snow blowing out, and doing the windrows from the plow from the night and everything like that, and get it done. I was out at 5:30 this morning, out at it, because I got to make sure this place is clean in case there's an emergency here, for an ambulance to come in. But you got these clowns out here, just plowing the snow across, pushing it off the side, not on their property, on somebody else's property or town's property, and just leaving big windrows. And council should be going around and finding these people, because you're not allowed to put snow out on the main roads.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Well, absolutely. In the city of St. John's, you're not supposed to do it. That much I know.
Yeah, well, I believe it's pretty much everywhere.
I would think so, yes.
Don't put it out on the main roads because it's just a big hazard. No, you shouldn't be out driving around, but some people have to. I have to, my best girl, she's a healthcare worker, and she has to travel from CBS to Holyrood. And so she needs to get out to work because she's, got home care to work with. They need the care no matter what the weather. And they don't usually have the access. So I make sure I have the access out. And, she's got a good vehicle and everything like that. And good all-season tires. And everything works well.
Yeah, I'm not getting into the all-season tire conversation again here today.
That's I do the snicker.
Yeah, I know. And, you talk about people who need to be out. Like, I had to go to work this morning, like many people did, like Dave Williams did, like everyone here in this building had to this morning. So, even if people say, well, a lot of things are closed, so I'll just wait for the plow to scrape my snow that I throw from my driveway into the road somewhere further up the street. I mean, just come on, right? A little bit of courtesy to your neighbours as you try to navigate your own snow. I know it's a pain, and like if you have one of those big push plow things yourself, I'm sure it is easier to just push it out the driveway and haul it back and leave the snow in the street versus try to push it up the bank along the sides of your driveway, but that's neither really here nor there for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's my big bane, is because I go up and down the road here in CBS, and like every private property, not everyone, I shouldn't say, but there's big windrows that they don't clean up. Like, plow it across the road if there's room and it's not your property and the people across the road are fine, but clean up the windrows. Because, they got 2-foot windrows going up.
Yeah, I get it. Totally know where you're coming from. Anything else you want to say this morning, Rob, before I sneak on one more call?
Yeah, no, go ahead, buddy. Thanks
man.
a lot.
Appreciate your time. Cheers. All the best. Yeah, just a little bit of courtesy for your neighbours regarding the snow. Like, if you throw your snow from your driveway on my lawn, whatever. Right, I get it. Maybe the bank is really high on the other side or what have you, but that depositing straight into the road, maybe it's just a bit of a pet peeve. It's not going to ruin my life, but it does irritate me. Let's go to line number 1. Mary, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Paddy. Happy New Year. Paddy, I want to speak about disabled people.
Okay.
Like that man was on about the gas. If you go to the bank, Paddy, in a lineup, and you see people there with wheelchairs or canes or something, and they're in a lineup, Paddy, I don't think it's fair. How many people do I let go ahead of me because of that? But I really think there should be a lineup just for those disabled people. I mean, nobody cares today. I really don't know what the problem is today. And the banks are terrible. One time they had a place that you could, they take you, but it seems like, I don't know, the bank I go to, they certainly don't care. You got to wait your turn just like everybody else. And it's so unfair. No,
yes, some basic accommodations, like let's just say the bank. For instance, if there's somewhere for someone to sit and not be displaced for the line, if there's somewhere for them to have, comfortable desk and chair for them to conduct their banking as opposed to stand at the teller like I do, accommodations like that, they don't impact me. They don't have a negative impact on me, but they do have a positive impact on someone who needs it, whether it be someone who's simply elderly or someone who has a disability, whatever the case may be.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, Paddy. Every time I go, I just about to see people like that. I really do. But anyway, Paddy, I just wanted to sneak in something else.
Sure.
A day before Christmas, you had this woman and the daughter around that was trying to get their son help because he was on drugs or something. But anyway, why couldn't the people in authority get this man or boy, whatever he was, help before he did damage? My heart went out to her. She was trying so hard, both of them, to get help for him. But, if they locked him up, it's not him should be locked up. It's the people that should be helping him. What are they there for if they couldn't get him help? I mean, I don't understand the system, Paddy. I don't understand society today at all. And I'm a senior, Paddy, and I've never seen the like of what's going on today. I never saw the like.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's changed, but I think I can't speak for everybody because broad strokes aren't fair, but it seems an awful lot of people are really only in it for themselves, only care about their own little world as opposed to any consideration for anybody else. Now, that might be a bit unfair for some people to hear, but it really just feels like that more and more. I know there's plenty of altruistic, generous people out there listening to this program this morning, willing and happy to help others in their community, but those numbers are becoming fewer and fewer. It's certainly what it feels like in this chair.
Well, you know, Paddy, the way I am, I come from a small little community and we always helped older people out. And I mean, I worry about other people, and it's like my son always says to me, Mom, you want to take the whole world on, and that's the way I am, Paddy. But my heart really goes out to people, you know, that, you know, are struggling and everything. It boggles the mind, Paddy, because society is not like it was when I was growing up, I can tell you that. But times have changed big time. Oh my, Paddy, I don't know. Well, Paddy, thank you for listening, and have a good year.
The very same to you. Stay in touch, Mary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
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 All right, let's get a break in here for the newscast. When we come back, Herb's in the queue to talk about what we've seen going on in Venezuela and what's next. Who knows? Medical transport, and then whatever you want to talk about. Don't go away.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Welcome back. Let's go to line number 3. Herb, you're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
It's a nice snowy day in St. John's.
Looks like everything's closed for the rest of the day, so yeah, it looks pretty snowy from the studio anyway.
Yeah, we're down in New Chelsea here, and we're a bit snowed in, but we're just sitting in enjoying it. We're retired, don't have to go anywhere, so we're good.
Good for you, lucky man.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about this Venezuela thing going on here. About what is going on? You know, in essence, I agree 100% with getting rid of Maduro, that he's gone. That's a good idea, but going about it the way they did, I think was 100% illegal, you know, and it leaves the door open for, because, you know, as he said, he was going after Greenland. He wants Greenland, now Cuba, now Colombia, and I think he wants to take over the whole Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild. You know, I don't the legality of it all. Look, I'll leave that to people much smarter than I am. But there's a few interesting things that happened just preceding the mission in Venezuela. Like, for starters, they didn't just go after Maduro either. I mean, there were 4 different locations where we saw military strikes. We have no earthly idea what the death toll is at this moment in time, which nobody's factored in, which is one part of it. And, you know, whether or not a president has the authority to do this, they hide it under the guise of doing the Department of Justice and executing an arrest warrant. Well, you know, the last time they tried police intervention in a foreign sovereign nation, Vietnam, didn't turn out all that great.
It didn't turn out too well.
You know, and all the arguments made about drugs and restoring democracy and stuff. Look, nature abhors a vacuum. And at this moment in time, nobody knows what the plan is. The person who actually won the last election, Machado, Trump says she doesn't have the respect of the people. She won't govern. So the Americans are going to govern. How's that going to work? Venezuela is a complicated country. There's all types of armed militias. What do they think is going to happen here? There's going to be chaos before there's stability, and especially if there's no plan.
Absolutely. You think Vietnam was bad? Watch out. And the thing is, illegal, and if he goes in there and if he thinks he can get away with this, he's going to go for, like I said, Denmark, and then you know what else he's going for, don't you? He wants to make us the 51st state.
Well, we would be foolish to pretend that's not something that could happen in the future. Why? Because he has said so. And the whole Greenland business, I mean, he's already, you know, he's slapped tariffs and stuff on us about fentanyl and national security and the like. And he says they need Greenland for national security. Greenland is part of Denmark. Denmark is part of NATO. Any military in Greenland is a problem for everybody who's part of NATO. It's just all mind-boggling.
Anybody with a little bit of common sense could figure that one out, you know. And I just want to say, I'm a veteran. I'm 73 years old, and if he starts coming this way, you can count on it. I'd be there saying, "Hey, I'll put the uniform back on and I'll go, brother. Don't you kid yourself. I would not stand and let something like this happen while I'm still alive and I can do something about it. I'd be one of the first to go and say, sign me up if you need me to do some training, whatever you need. I'm there." because this is just not right.
I appreciate the time. Look, I can only speak for myself, obviously, but I truly do not understand the number of Canadians who are applauding the possibility to be part of the United States. Like, I just do not get it.
Blows my mind. I've even seen the thing on the Fatty that said now he got rid of Maduro. Now, let's come for Carney. And I'm thinking, are you people serious? Is this is coming from? Where's it coming from? I have no idea. It's make us 51st state. You know what that means? You're going to treat us like Puerto Rico. We got nothing.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
there's so many people. Yeah, so many people are. Even Pierre Poilievre, it comes out. What does he say? Down with socialism and on with freedom. What does he think CPP and old age pension and the child daycare and everything else is? It's kind of socialism, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a social democracy.
You want to get rid of all these? You want to get rid of all these programs? Is what he would do. That's what I'm thinking. So it's I don't know. It's a big mess there, Patty. I don't have the answers, but
I don't either.
I don't know who does.
Yeah,
like you said, somebody smarter than us should be able to come up with the answers for that. But it's interesting times we're living in, for sure.
It's interesting. It might also be the dumbest time to be alive. Like, there's a structural issue in Venezuela. Removing Maduro doesn't remove the government. I mean, we know. Look, no one's crying for Nicolas Maduro. He's an evil, corrupt, despotic dictator who was an illegitimate president. He lost the election. He should be gone. And I think the world 100%. Agrees with that. It's what comes next. I mean, you don't all of a sudden remove one person and things change for the fate of 33 million Venezuelans. I mean, nothing works like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And it doesn't matter how hard you try, or like peace by, what do they say, peace by force? So you're going to start a war to create peace. I mean, it's bizarre.
Yeah, and there's also a few other things happening in the United States where this is a welcomed distraction from other issues as well.
As soon as I saw that, you know what I thought? Release the Epstein files.
Why not?
You know?
Yep.
It's a big thing. It's all, I know, it's just a big smoke screen is what it is, 90% of it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make one more quick comment on what the gentleman was before earlier on, but the snow clearing.
Yep.
I got to tell you something on that, because I followed a plow one time coming down Logie Bay Road, coming off the highway, down to Logie Bay Road, going south on Logie Bay Road, down past the OCN. Anyway, the plow made the turn, went on, and left the snow in the middle of the road. And I had to stop at the yield sign for the other cars coming. As one car coming by, didn't know it. Boom! He went over that bank that the plow left there. His front grill was gone. There's something else. He just tore stuff off his car. I thought he was going to go off the road. And that was the regular plow that did that, not just the residents, right? So it's like you said, you got to be careful on that snow clearing for sure.
No doubt about it. Herb, appreciate you making time for the show. Thanks for doing it.
Okay, Patty, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You know, I've taken some heavy fire this morning, and I knew it would be the case. It's fine. Just a couple of notes on that front. Like, even when we talk about Greenland, the Americans have access to Greenland insofar as military bases at this moment of time to provide all the national security that they want. I mean, so I don't understand what that's about. And look, Maduro needs to be gone. I get that. No one's crying for what people refer to as a narco-terrorist. Understood. But just think about it out loud for a second. Even if you were applauding the bombing of the boats that we were told were bringing drugs to the United States, even though those boats couldn't travel that distance anyway. So the Americans, Delta Force, they infiltrated a heavily guarded home in the middle of the night to make an arrest. But we were told that they couldn't do that and arrest people on these little tiny boats because of some unknown reason, but we can board oil tankers and we can infiltrate what is a heavily guarded home for Nicolas Maduro and make an arrest, but we had to blow those boats out of the water. I don't know. Let's go. Line number 4. Mary, you're on the air.
Oh, good morning, Patty.
Good morning to you.
Oh, wishing you the best for 2026.
The same to you.
Yes. I want to send a really nice bouquet to Newfoundland Labrador Cabs Company. after waiting 18 hours in emergency for a non-medical ride home, I decided that I had to try to do something myself. So I discussed that if I could get a cab and a driver, and if the driver would help me from the hospital door to the cab, and then when I got home, if they'd help me in the house, would I be allowed to go? Well, after much discussion, I said, well, I'm going to try it. And when I called the cab, I explained that I had been waiting a long time, and I just wanted to get home. And they were very, very helpful. This happened on Boxing Day. I had slipped over the icy steps, and I couldn't get up. I thought I broke my hip and back. However, fortunately, that wasn't the case, but I couldn't move, called the ambulance, and within 4 to 5 hours, I'd had x-rays and determined that no, nothing was broken, not much they could do, except give me some pain medication. And with the pain medication, I could just shuffle along with the walker. So, and I had no one to come pick me up, and so it was determined that I'd have to wait for the non-medical ride home, which was the ambulance when they weren't busy. This was 6 o'clock Boxing Day. And, well, 6 o'clock the next morning, I was still there. So I decided, well, there got to be another way out of here. So I called the cab, and sure enough, they said, you know, you get to the door, and we'll take it from there, and we'll make sure you're home. And anyway, that's what happened. They came. They were extremely helpful to me. And I must say, like, it may be something that maybe someone else in the public are not aware of. I was not aware of it. I'm used to cabs just stopping, and you got to get out and do whatever you have to do yourself. So, but anyway, it's an option for people who are stuck in such a situation, because those non-medical rides home, I have had, I know with my relatives, I have waited over 20 hours to get a ride back from a hospital. So it is really, really something that I think maybe should be looked at a little bit more, because more and more, seniors, especially seniors, are living alone. And, you know, there's a backup in emergency. I didn't want to be there. I'm sure they didn't want me there. I was technically discharged. So I think that the healthcare system can look at a few things that would help maybe the public a bit better. And the one way that they can put in place is, and hopefully Premier Wakeham, I know the Liberal government wouldn't even entertain the thought of setting up an oversight individual advocacy agency to assist individuals with their concerns, to get answers on a timely basis for the issues that they're going through. And, in that way, if you had someone who had the ability to investigate and hold individuals or the system accountable, it would improve the system. It would start by improving the individual care to individuals, and that would roll up and improve the system. Because every area that you have to look at in the system seems to be, and there's no one can answer the questions. Like, even this morning, it came up about Dr. Patterson on the West Coast. Even if there was an agency that could look at that, why is this person having to waste so much time trying to get through the system to get what he rightfully should get. And it's not only one area. I mean, just before Christmas, my relatives were visiting from another province, and he had an accident, broke his neck. I mean, not a very good thing to have to deal with. And they were told by senior health officials that because he was from another province, it disqualified him from rehab at the Miller Center. They were left and they didn't know what to do. So first thing was they called me. And like in talking to the officials there, it was like talking to the side of the wall. And I said, have you ever read the Canada Health Act? I mean, there's reciprocal billing procedures in place. I said, what you're saying is not even true. Now, and this is, so what do people do that haven't worked in the system or has no knowledge of it? Now, when he did get to the Miller Center, he was delayed, but I took up the argument for them. And plus the other thing was, quote, they had no beds there. Well, we got there, over half the beds were empty. So, like, the public is not being given the correct information. Now, maybe they didn't have staff to cover all the beds, so maybe there wasn't access to the beds. That could be true, but if it was true, well, then it's inefficient management of the system itself. So, I mean, everywhere you look in the system, there's those gaps, and people are not being treated with the respect or care they should. Like, it's terrible, the disconnect between departments. I mean, you got Department of Health, Department of Social Service, and Department of Justice. A lot of times they have to be on the same page. And you can't get an answer from them,
which is completely unnecessary. And any little bit of improvement in the healthcare system is a political victory. On top of it being a better system for the individual, if a government can come out and say and point to, just pick a number, wait times in emergency rooms, the number of people with access to a family doctor or primary care, wait times for one procedure or another. If things get better, people notice. Healthcare is one of the top motivators inside the voting public. So there's a political victory available here. I'm always kind of bamboozled as to why there are not streamlines to make it a little bit more efficient, to treat us like we need a navigator. Tell me what's available. Tell me what to expect. Not all of you got to ask this person. You got to press 2 when you dial that number. Streamline the system is a political victory, on top of it making it easier for you, Mary, and for me. Anything else you want to say before I have to go?
Yeah. Well, Premier Wakeham, I mean, if he does anything else to improve the delivery of care, please put in an oversight individual advocacy agency to assist the public. I mean, we have a right to that. We have a right to have an agency that will work on our behalf.
Yeah.
And somewhere, and if you get things corrected at the individual level, that will roll up and correct the system. So I don't know why it is so hard to get that through the system and try to get some agency out there to help individuals.
Understood, Mary. It's a good point. I appreciate you making time for the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, let's get a break in here. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Let's go. Line number 5. Yvonne, you're on the air.
Hi there.
Hi.
I just want to report my missing cat, or our missing cat. Her name is Kitty, and she jumped out of a vehicle during an accident there on Columbus Drive, Christmas Day. And she was spotted. She jumped the guardrail running towards Southbrook Trail in Boyne Park. She's all gray and she has copper-colored eyes, but she don't have a collar. She's microchipped. And we've had feeding stations out. She's on social media and flyers out, and we've been knocking on doors, and it's very heartbreaking. So, especially this cold weather. But
I totally understand. Pet owners will all feel the same way when they hear your story, Yvonne. So, is Kitty an outdoor cat?
No. She's a very special cat, and she's been kept indoors, but she was being transferred from one house to the other. Anyway, the car was involved in an accident, and she jumped out, and we haven't seen her. We've been searching since Boring Park, the area, Waterford Valley, everywhere around the area. Flyers are out everywhere on posts and knocking on doors, and yeah, like I said, she's microchipped. Haven't heard from anybody about seeing her or anything, and I'll give my phone number in case somebody does see her.
Please go ahead.
She's a beautiful cat. Probably she's a bit skittish. She probably won't come to you if you call out to her. So a sighting would help very much.
Do you want to give your number out on the air, or just leave it with David?
No, I don't mind giving it out on the air.
Okay, go ahead.
Anything at this point to get her back. 709-693-3175.
Fingers crossed. Let me know if this works out, Yvonne. Hope so.
I will. She's a beautiful, fluffy cat. Well, she was when she got lost on the 25th. I guess she's probably nothing to her now, trying to find somewhere to hide in this snow and keep warm and get some food. But there are feeding stations out. But I mean, it's so vast. We have nowhere that we can pinpoint that she is. I mean, she could be anywhere, in that vicinity. Anyway, okay, I appreciate it.
So for folks in that area, have a look under your gallery or your porch. You never know; they might seek a bit of refuge there out of the weather.
Yes, under the porch, under the decks, in the sheds, anywhere. That she will go to get warm. But sitting near someone's back door, waiting to get in, someone to open the door, anywhere. I appreciate it.
Good luck, Yvonne.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay.
It's amazing how attached you get to your pets. It really is. There's no doubt about it. There's this one fella, and I'll just say this because it's a bit of a joke, that he picks at me all the time. I can do no right in this guy's eyes. And I think sometimes he's just yanking my chain, which I don't mind. We go back and forth all the time on email. But every time, like this morning, someone asked me about the puppy, about Dexter. And I answered the question. And he immediately wrote me an email and says, "Do you expect me to give you know what about your dog?" No, I don't. I don't expect you to do anything about my dog. Oh my God, it's so funny. I think he does it for a lark, to be honest, as much as some of the other issues he picks up on. But do you think I give two you-know-whats about your dog? No, I don't. Let's take a break. When we come back, Beverly, you're next. And then plenty show left for you. Don't go away.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 1. Good morning, Beverly. You're on the air.
Hi, Patty. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing okay, I guess. But again, I'm calling in about my daughter. She wasn't just a police officer. She was my child. And we spoke before online about her. And she will be gone 2 years now, come March the 9th. And the RNC in St. John's and the RNC in Labrador have told me and promised me that they will set a tree and put a bench outside for her and all this kind of stuff, but it never happened.
Beverly, just let me jump in for 1 second, just so people know what we're talking about. We're talking about the passing and pending memorial for Constable Robin Jordan, who was an RNC officer in Labrador City, because you and I know what we're talking about. I just want to make sure the listeners know.
And she wasn't just, she was only in Labrador for 5.5 months.
Okay.
Prior to that, she was a constable police officer in St. John's and CBS. And they promised me that they were going to do a memorial for her, but they didn't. And I've called Labrador, I've called St. John's, I've done it all. And it's almost like they are ignoring me for, I believe, the reason is because Robin took her life with her own police gun while she was on the job. And I'm not ashamed of that. And nor is my family or my friends or her co-workers. But it seems to me like the RNC in St. John's and Labrador, so Newfoundland and Labrador, I feel like they're ashamed of that because why would they not have a picture of her up when you enter the RNC building in St. John's and or Labrador and a little writing about her? She, from the time she was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, she always said, Mom, like when I grow up, I want to be a police officer. And she accomplished that. And for some reason, and I don't know why, but she took her life. And we talked back like months and months ago about that, and I got a call from Rosie Mullally from NTV News that wanted to do a story on it, but she talked to somebody from RNC, and they said that it was a family issue. I had my daughter at 25 weeks. She was 1 pound, 3 ounces, and I reared her, and I also have a son, too. And I guided them down the proper road through life. And for some reason, and I don't know why, that Robin took her life. But RNC has not contacted me. They have done nothing for me, and like the least that they can do is plant a tree, put a little bench outside the RNC offices, and for her co-workers to go out and remember her.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't speak to the motivation for ignoring you or not having a memorial or a bench or a tree or what have you in memory of Robin.
Oh, Patty, how unfair is that?
It just sounds so cold and so callous. Like, let's just say, for instance, if it is about how they think of how Robin died, look, we spend an awful lot of time trying to remove stigma regarding mental illness. We try to remove stigma about dying by suicide. And so when we have an organization as important in the conversation regarding mental illness, regarding suicide, they can be the leaders here. So if that's the motivation, then that's just really misreading the tea leaves.
To me, Patty, I think that is so unfair of the RNC. I feel that they're ashamed of her because of how she took her life, but in the meantime, that's what happened. And do I have any answers to that, or why, or how come? No, I don't. No, I don't. But they could at least respect that of who she was and what she wanted to be and how she become that, and they should at least respect her. But I think that, and listen, I have called the RNC, like, to speak to the sergeant, to this, to that, and they don't even answer me. They don't answer me because I believe that the RNC is ashamed somewhat that one of their own took their life. And unfortunately, it was my daughter, but she served with the RNC in St. John's, in CBS, and all over town, and then the Labrador, and they could at least, they never even ever contacted me to say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, do you need anything? Nothing. It was like, this is what happened, so be it. And that's not fair. That's not right. It's not right. Patty, listen, if you died tomorrow, holy Jesus Christ Almighty, may God be our judge, you'd be all over the place. My daughter served St. John's and Newfoundland and Labrador just like you.
Beverly? I don't know what happened there, but don't make a big deal out of it when it comes my time. I don't know what happened with Beverly. I didn't touch anything. I think the call dropped on her end. Let's get our final break in the morning. If Beverly wants to come back on and finish her thoughts, that's perfectly fine with me. And if you want to join us to talk about whatever's on your mind, that's great too. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's rejoin Beverly on line number 1. Beverly, you're back on the air.
I don't know what happened. We got cut off, Patty.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened either, Beverly. Apologize.
No, no need to. But anyways, I just wanted to go on the air and tell the truth about what happened to my daughter. And another thing I want to say, too, is that we all have a job. Everybody has a job. And she wasn't just a police officer. She was my daughter. She was my girl. She was my baby. And for the RNC to disrespect her in the way that they have, that really hurts my heart. I go in my living room and I look at the pictures of Robin as she was as my daughter. And then I look at the picture of her being RNC officer. It's like, how could you not respect her as for who she was? Like, why can't me, you, or anybody walk into the RNC building and see a picture of her and a little writing of her? Like, why? They don't have to put down, oh, she committed suicide and she shot herself with her own gun on the job, but they could have a little writing up of her. No. Not in St. John's, not in Labrador City, not in CBS. And you know what? That hurts my heart. I really do. Christmas, is hard. And I cried many, many tears and wishing that she was still here. But I have her ashes here with me in her urn and stuff like that and whatever. But the RNC, I am so mad with them. I'm upset. I'm sad. It's like, why would you not acknowledge that this young girl all her life wanted to be a police officer, and for whatever happened that night in Labrador City, I will never know. But they should be proud of who she is and who she was. And they should put it up there to show everybody the example that being a police officer is, this day and age, is not an easy job. Do you agree or disagree?
Of course not. I mean, I think it's probably more difficult than ever before.
Oh, you got that right, Patty. I mean, listen, I listen to the news on every morning. I'm up for 5 o'clock. I listen to the news, and when I hear it all, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. because when a parent is a mother or a father of a police officer this day and age, and the way the world has gone now, is like they worry about, are they coming home or are they not?
I totally understand, Beverly. Between the type of and the prevalence of crime and even the public's attitude towards law enforcement has changed, making the job more difficult, I would imagine. I don't do it, so I can't say I've walked a mile in their shoes, but I can certainly read the temperature in the room. Anything else, Beverly, before I take one more call here this morning?
No, Patty, just thanks for listening to me and being there for me and to understand where I'm coming from. Like, I miss my baby girl so much.
I totally understand, Beverly, and I appreciate you making time for the show this morning, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take good care.
Okay,
bye-bye. I think it's a pretty fair question. Why no acknowledgement from the RNC? Like, even to return the woman's calls. Like, what is going on there? Let's go to line number 2. Violet, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I want to put out greetings. This time last week, I had an incident in Carbonear at a restaurant. I almost choked. I want to put out thank you greetings to 2 gentlemen who came to my rescue, but did their share, could not be able to revive me if I had to pass on. The ambulance had to be called. The 2 gentlemen on that were awesome. No one at that restaurant ever came to my assistance or spoke to my two girlfriends that was with me and asked, was I okay? The ambulance drivers just took me to the hospital and tried to do their best till I got there, and I was just lucky that I'm here today.
Well, I'm glad you're here today. So did I hear you correctly? People in the restaurant just watched you choke?
People in the restaurant just stood around and watched. Well, there was one time that I kind of blacked out, and one of the guys said, we have to get her back, and you know, he just kept pumping at me, you know, trying to keep till the ambulance got there. But not one of them, and all our food, the 3 of us girls ordered our food, and when the guys took me to the hospital, was later on when I got out, that one of my friends picked me up, and so anyway, I said to Joanne, I said to my friend, I said, what happened? I said, with the food type thing. I don't care about that. And she said, well, one of the other girls paid for it all. I said, well, what a smack in the face you can get. Because, I mean, I think they should have questioned me why. What happened? What did I eat? And it was only a couple of pecks of rice that went against my breath, and I blacked out.
Yikes.
Oh, I'm still scared of eating. I got to be very careful and cut up my food because I'm scared of what could happen.
I can understand that. Once you've had that type of experience, of course it's going to linger in your mind. Of course it is.
Yeah, I tried. I didn't know if I should call the restaurant because I don't even know the name of the restaurant. It was the very first time I was there. And speak to someone, but no one, you know, the crowd that was there, no one ever came over. And they didn't even come to my girlfriends and say, you know, let us know, or this is a number to call, wasn't a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably speaks to the importance of making sure your staff are trained for instances like this.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're okay, Val. I'm glad you made time for the program this morning. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Oh, that's all. Thank you for taking my call.
I appreciate your time.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Will I try to sneak on this one, Dave? Okay, quick one on 3. Dana, you're on the air.
Hi, Penny. I was just listening to your friend Beverly that called in, and my heart is broken for her. I think the RNC should do a little bit more in respect And you know something? The RNC doesn't have very much respect in Newfoundland, and it's time for them to pick up their boots and turn around and serve the people right.
That story, I just can't make any sense of it. I really can't. You know, whether or not she died by suicide, on the job or off the job, the fact of the matter was she was a serving member of the RNC, and regardless of the circumstances surrounding her death, a little bit of respect after the fact and respect for her mother. Like, to not even return her call. Like, I just cannot understand what's going on there. And I'm glad she called this morning.
Either. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's very disrespectful on the RNC's part. She's out in open media now, and you mean to tell me that girl, that lady, that woman that had a child that grew up and tried to go through the RNC, did her work, did everything that she had to do to become a police officer, and they don't respect her for that? I don't understand it, Betty.
I don't either, Dana, and unfortunately we ran out of time, but I appreciate yours this morning.
I appreciate your time, Patty. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, boy, that story. All right, good show today. Big thanks to all hands. We will indeed pick up this conversation again tomorrow morning, right here on VOCM and Big Land FM's Open Line. On behalf of the producer, David Williams, I'm your host, Paddy Daly. Have yourself a safe, fun, happy day. We'll talk in the morning. Bye-bye.